Copic. Today, we're going to take a look at the January set of the Copic Colors. I know it's not January, but this came late, and here we go. You don't get a discount on these sets anyway, so it's not like you missed out on a big deal. You know what Copic markers are. If you somehow don't, they are alcohol-based ink markers. The great thing about Copics is that once you have a Copic, you have that color for life because they are refillable. So all you got to do is take out the nib, get a refill of that specific color ink, dump it in, and you're good to go. You can use that forever. The nibs are very sturdy. Unlike a lot of felt-tipped or similar tipped nibs or brush pens that you've ever used that kind of degrade after like a month of use, Copics are pretty damn sturdy. So I've had sets that I bought like 10 years ago that are still good today. So sometime last year, Copic decided to come out with these curated sets. Every month there's a new curated set of 3 markers, and I think they have like a monthly drawing contest thing where you draw something with that set and you hashtag it Copic Colors, and if they really like it, they'll reblog it or whatever. I always wanted to test out their curated sets just to see what it's like, so I picked this one earlier last month, and I'm just now getting around to reviewing it, so... But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about the Copic System. The cap of every Copic marker has 4 sections. The first thing you're going to see is a letter, which corresponds to the family of the color. The first number that you see is the saturation of the color, and it goes from 0 to 9. The second number you see is the brightness of that color, which also goes from 0 to 9. And underneath those 3 elements, you're going to get the name of the color. In this case, Mazinga Red, which doesn't exist, but it would be pretty freaking awesome. Saturation refers to the intensity of the color. If the number is 0, you're going to get a high saturation. If the number is 9, it's a low saturation. So anywhere in between should give you a good idea of where the saturation of that color is. The second number is the brightness of that color. So imagine putting that color in shade or shining sunlight on it. A value of 0 means there's going to be a lot of light on that color, so it's going to wash it out a little bit. A value of 9 means that it's going to be darkened in shadow, so it's going to be pretty dark. 7 is usually the brightness intensity of like the pure color that you would see, like a red or a blue. The numbering system is pretty useful if you want to be very scientific about shading. Copic recommends that if you want to put a color in shadow, you go either 2 steps down in brightness or 2 steps up in brightness. So you can save money on markers by buying every second brightness of a thing. So with the system out of the way, let's go to the demo. Here we go. Hi! This should be out of focus because it's manual. All right, time for a little bit of an unboxing. Here is the package that this comes in. You can see January hashtag Copic Colors, year 2. So I guess this is the 2nd year they've done this. You got the green 82 yellow 18 blue 60. All right, so let's get this going. Advertisement stuff, maintain your Copic collection, all this good stuff, blah. Stickers, blah. This is what we care about, our colors. So, shmoop, shmoop, shmoop. All right, so this blue is sort of, this is pale blue, what is it? Pale blue gray. We got a lightning yellow, and we got a spring dim green. And hopefully that looked okay because this guy I have to do some color correction on, so we'll see. But it should look good in the wide shot, as they say. This is a sheet of Strathmore Bristol 300 series. Nice and thick. It holds ink well. I'm just gonna do a color test just to see what we got going here. Ooh, that's very bright. And then we got a little bit of green. All right, just so we know what we're dealing with here. If I'm going direct to marker, usually I sketch stuff out with a yellow, but this yellow, you can see how bright it is. So I'm gonna start with this pale blue gray thing first and just do a little bit of a sketch here. We'll do like a monster. Always like to do monsters, so. I'm gonna do a bit of a frog, monster frog. I really like the brush tip because you can get a lot of nice thin lines, but if you also want to, you can use the side and get pretty heavy with your shading. These last for ages. I have Copics that I've bought 10 years ago that are still workable today. The nibs are still workable, and I think that's why people like to use them, because they just last for so long. You get a Copic 1 year, you have a Copic for life. Hopefully this is showing up. A little bit of a ground plane here. Alright, so that's my basic layout. I think this yellow is a good highlight color, and this green is sort of going to be my darker color, and I'm going to just use this for shading. So, but this is a pretty good outline. So here we go. Let's start laying in some darks. And I usually start from the bottom up. Dark to light, wide to tight. And since this green is still a little bit juicy, I'm gonna come back in with this blue and just add in a darker tone right at the transition from light to dark here. So just gonna add in a little bit. It's very subtle right now. You can't really see what's going on, but it's giving some depth to this shadow. And you'll hopefully as it dries, you'll be able to see a little bit more of what's going on. But that's the other nice thing about Copics, is they blend extremely well. Even if you're not using something like marker paper, even if you're using just like plain Bristol board or copy paper, if you catch the marker when it's still in the juicy phase, you can still get a nice little blend going on here. Normally I do most of this hatching with ink, but I'm going direct to marker, so don't have that here. Cutie frog-elephant. It's frog with like elephant feet. Elephant kind of have like a lot of wrinklies here. Maybe add some of this in here. Wrinkly, 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 wrinkly. I kind of like this color combination. The blue is fairly subtle, but it's really useful for blending in the shadows. This green is a nice foresty green. Spring dim green. So as far as the curated set goes, I think this is a really good color combination. Pretty impressed. If you're a fan of green, if you're a fan of yellow, if you're a fan of blue, then this is the perfect combo for you. If you want to kind of feather your shadows, you kind of, I do a flicking thing, go from a little bit of pressure to a little less pressure, and you flick it out away from you. You can get kind of this nice feathering going on. And then I can go back in here. So I rarely use the flat end of the marker, but I can show you what they're here. Here it is. Here's the flat end. I rarely use the flat end, but just so this is a proper demo, I'm gonna use it right here to do this bottom shadow here. Copic also sells something called a colorless blender, and it just has I think it's just straight up alcohol, but you can use that to kind of soften the edges if you want. When the ink is still slightly wet, you can go in with the colorless blender and kind of feather out the edges of your shadows, if that's something you're into. If you're not, if you're doing more of a anime cell shaded style thing, then that's not that helpful. I don't use the blender myself. I kind of like blending things by hand, just flicking the brush tip this way to kind of feather stuff out by hand. That's just a personal preference. Whatever works for you. Also, normally when I draw, I flip my page around a lot, but because of the camera setup, which is kind of whack, I do it this way. So normally I would be flipping and turning things right about now, but I have to keep it in the same plane, otherwise it goes out of frame, and then you won't be able to see my drawing. Oh my god! I'm drawing the toes here. Toes, toesy, toesy, toes. Do you like my toes? So I have 3 sources of audio going at the same time. I've got the audio from the GoPro, I've got the audio from my point and shoot, and then off camera I have a Zoom H6 setup. So there is way too much tech going on in this room for a simple demonstration. So I'll see which audio is the cleanest, and I'll put that up in the in this video as I cut it together. But just so you know, there's too much shit going on here for just a simple Copic demo. Too much technology in the house. So this is a little wrinkly. This is a little awkward position for the foot, but that's okay. That's okay. This is just straight off the dome. No under sketch. No nothing. Just going straight off the dome. So a nice thing about the Copic markers, there's this gray band where the brush tip is. So gray band. And then the chisel tip has no band here. Chisel tip. So if your marker is upside down and not label up, you can visually tell which side you want to work with. So I know the gray band has the brush. So that's the end I'm gonna use. I kind of like the effect that the blue on green gives you in here. It's a nice little blend, especially in this area here. It kind of cools off the green and gives it a nice watercolor feel to it. I have another set of Copics that I really like to use, and there's like a sky blue that I use to kind of tint my shadows. So I generally dump blue or purple into the shadows when I'm using Copics. Usually I only use Copics at a convention, so. Baby frog do 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 do, baby frog do 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 do, baby frog do 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 do, baby frog. Mommy frog do 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 do, mommy frog do 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 do, mommy frog. All right, so we got our good layout. We got some decent shades going on here. We got a lot of blue, Let's put in some more blue on the ground. Ground our little dude. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna use the chisel tip. I never use the chisel tip. Whoa. You can get some of that good marker ASMR going. More shadows, more shadows, more shadows. And the more you go over an area that still has wet ink, the more it kind of blends together when it dries. So that's a pretty nice effect. All right, it's time to ruin it with the yellow. This is gonna be pretty hot, so I think I'm gonna use this yellow to sort of be the spots, the warning spots. Like, don't eat me, I am poisonous. Oof, yeah, that's really bright. That is a burner, man. I wasn't sure about this yellow. Normally my inclination would be to lay things out in yellow and use that to sort of like fill in the thing, but I think using this as decorations and like coloration spots is a good way to go. Otherwise, this piece would just be blown out to hell, man. Be like, oh my god, this frog is so yellow. Normally, if there's something like toenails or claws, I like to color them with like a pale yellow. This yellow is so bright, I don't know if I can get that effect if I pour in some of this blue, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think, yeah, this yellow is so strong. It just like, it doesn't want to play well with each other, with any of these other colors. It's like, no, I am the yellow. You would pay attention to me. I guess it would make sense to try to find like a poison frog reference, because even if it seems random, there's usually a rhyme or reason for these kind of spots. But I'm just making this up because I had no idea what I was drawing today. Straight off the dome, yo. Off the dome. But look at how friggin' bright this sucker is. Man, I really like this. This would be great for like doing a gold panel or something like that. You know, you shade something nice and yellow and then hit it with a white, like whiteout to get a nice burning highlight on it. But yeah, this is powerful stuff. Don't normally see this bright of a yellow. He keeps talking about how bright it is. Cause it's fucking bright, y'all. Maybe these spots have spots in them. It's inception spots. Wow. Wow. And this blue on the yellow has a really nice effect to it as well. It kind of mellows it out a little bit. It doesn't take much away from it though, because this yellow still burns, man. What happens when we use yellow? Oh my god. It kind of makes it glow a little bit. Ooh, fancy. Don't go over the same area too much or it'll start to kind of peel up, because it's still just paper. But I really like this effect, so. All right, I think that's gonna do it. If I go too much more, it's gonna just start looking all ugly. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I really like this blue. It's great for toning shadows and enhancing shadows like in here. This green is pretty nice. It's not too vibrant, it's kind of dull, so it makes a good shadow thing. It makes a good shadow color if you like green shadows. And this yellow, man, this yellow is superb. This yellow wants your attention. So if you need something that really pops, this yellow will just like burn a hole in your eyeballs. It's really good. The Y18 oh, it's even called Lightning Yellow. Lightning Yellow. So yeah, I'm impressed. It's a good set. You can have a lot of fun with it. Of course, I don't know if you can buy it now in the store because it's not January anymore, but you know, you don't really get a discount if you buy the sketch sets, or if you buy the Copic Colors sets. So, you know, just find these numbers, match them up, and I don't know. I like this set. This curated set is really nice. It works well together, and I made a cute little weird monster. So there you go. All right, that's it for this January set. The Lightning Yellow was very, very surprising. I don't use markers a lot unless I'm at a convention and doing con sketches and things like that. So this is pretty cool. So if you're interested in the set, you can either go online and pick out the colors, or go to your local art store if they sell Copics and pick out these colors. Or if you want to win this from me, just put a comment down below. Tell me why you like this set, and I'm gonna do a random number generator and pick out the comment that corresponds to that number. So like, you could just write, I like winning things, and that's why I like this set. I'll probably run it sometime Thursday, so that's usually when I record for Friday. So get your entries in before then, and then I'll do that whole thing, and my channel is pretty small and I don't get a whole lot of comments, so if I only get 2, you have a 50% chance of winning these! Alright, thanks for checking this out. I don't know if I'm gonna do this every month. These colors are just interesting to me because I don't use them a whole lot, so I thought it would be fun to do. But yeah, thanks for sticking around. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, share with your friends. Let me know your experiences with Copic. If you have other suggestions of markers for me to try, it could be interesting to do like a Copic shootout with some of the other brands. And I also want to try them out on marker paper, so that's something I didn't try out with this test. So it would be kind of interesting to get a whole bunch of different brands, see what works and doesn't work so well, and all that kind of stuff. But in the meantime, enjoy, go out there, draw with Copics. This is not sponsored, unfortunately, but thank you for watching, and I'll check you later. Bye!